Let us discuss 01st July 2015 newspaper. The first thing it talks about the Prime Minister's upcoming visit to Central Asia. Now, where he is going to visit the 5 countries and also going to attend the BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization seminars in UFA in Russia. So let us see what is going. What are the prime agenda of him? Now we all know that the Central Asian countries are energy-rich resources. Now Kazakhstan, already we have civil nuclear agreement with that nation, and where we have to explore the nuclear resources and we have to import them. So we have to invest in the exploration and also the refining and bringing them back to India. Now he can take forward this nuclear cooperation agreement further. In the Turkmenistan, you know that Tapi pipeline, it is pending long back. Probably they may resume the talks on this particular Tapi pipeline too. On the other hand, all the Central Asian countries, they are going through a phase of Islamic State and the growth of Islamic State and increase of recruits for Islamic State in these particular countries. Now Central Asian countries are also Islamic, many of them, but they follow is a moderate, a liberal Islam, which provides for something called principles of equality, etc. So in this context, the growing Islamic State is a threat to them. So the counter-terrorism strategy and other related issues, the training of the forces and countering this growing radicalism, everything, these are the things will be discussed. You know, before this summit has started itself, the former Intelligence Bureau Chief, Mr. Arif Ibrahim, who is very knowledgeable on West Asian and Central Asian issues, was appointed as a special agent, special envoy for this particular terrorism issue, counter-terrorism issues. So the terrorism is going to take up onto the central line in its discussion. Now, once the articles will start coming up on this issue and we can discuss further. And now, it is about the issue related to the governance, where the minister's actions, especially the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Chief Minister of Rajasthan Vasundhara Raje with regard to Lalit Modi has been discussed over here. The major issue is there are two things. One is a legal and other one is moral considerations. Now, probably another thing which the Sushma Swaraj added to this is humanitarian considerations of action. Now, the legal considerations, they may say technically, they may get these people escaped. But what we have to see is the moral considerations where the public court or public faith, how it is going to judge the government of the day. Now, the Manmohan Singh government, he has himself said that he will be judged sympathetically and favorably by the future rather than the present. So it means that he was too much criticized by media. So because of the corruption charges, there was something called as moral sanctity which has been lost over there. Now on the other hand, the minister-civil servant relationships also are coming into question over here. So to what extent a minister who is a political executive can bypass the secretary and can negotiate or discuss with the foreign minister of the other country. In all these processes, the establishment has to be kept in loop. But however, any action in a country, it cannot be alone taken by the minister but has to flow through the establishment, that is governmental establishment. So not keeping the concerned secretary in the loop is another major challenge over here. The third thing is, the government is essentially a continuum. It means the new government which is coming into power must take the cognizance of the action performed by the previous government. Now the previous government, where Finance Minister Chidambaram, he himself wrote to the UK's Minister for Treasury about the cases which are pending against Mr. Modi and the repatriation of him to India. But however, in spite of all these things, Sushma Swaraj has given a letter of recommendation for him to provide the travel document. The another issue with her is the collective responsibility to the issues. Because one ministry is framing the charges against him, that is Ministry of Finance. And other ministry is trying to help him out. Other minister is trying to help him out. So which is not a good sign for the collective responsibility. The other issue which has come up is conflict of interest. The Sushma Swaraj husband and her daughter, they are the counsels for the Lalit Modi for the past decade. It means that there are any private gains in the process of this is something which naturally comes as a doubt. Finally, with regard to Vasundhara Raje issue, she went ahead and being under the oath of office, where she said she promised to abide by the constitution. She wanted the investigative agencies or court of the other country to keep her involvement secret with regard to a fugitive who is involved with charges of money laundering in India. So this is a violative of the breach of the trust or breach of the oath of office you undertook under the Constitution of India. So these are the issues which have come up with regard to this article. The minister-civil servant relationship and legal and moral grounds. Government is essentially a continuum and a collective responsibility and quid pro quo. So and next is conflict of interest. These are the issues which we need to see. And the next is the legal services article related to the opening of the legal services to the foreign participants. It means foreign legal firms, they also come into India and can take up the litigation over here, and also they can participate with regard to the advices with regard to the commercial trading establishments. Now, in this case, anywhere like this topic comes up, do we need to allow the foreign services or not? The arguments will be like this against. The first one will be livelihood concerns. What about the people who are having their sustenance on this particular thing? So what about the advocates of India who are making their menial livelihood through the process of the court? And another thing against will be, now, to what they might, these particular foreign agencies might bend the system in their favor by having access to the power of the power corridors. That is what is the second system, where they can take the control over the establishment by accessing close to them, acting as pressure groups, etc. On to the positive side, obviously new firms, it means new competition. New competition, automatically it improves the quality of the services. Now it also increases the opportunities for Indians to participate in the global firms, especially when the legal education is getting stronger foundations in India. Then Indians' opportunities, Indian lawyers' opportunities across the world and also across the India, they are automatically going to increase. But what will be the challenge over here? The processes, the procedures of India, they have to be harmonized with the global practices. So this is going to be a major challenge to take this forward. So anywhere, this is what is the argument we need to bound with. And the next, this is what is autonomy versus accountability argument. I got certain beautiful points from this. Now, autonomy, it can be said as the academic autonomy, what is the work which I am doing with, and financial autonomy, operational autonomy. Now, if innovation has to come up, the autonomy, if it is in academic matters, that is more than sufficient. Then what is the purpose of having a financial and operational autonomy? So with regard to financial autonomy, let us say, every money flows from the consolidated fund of India. Our money is, obviously it is the public money. So the public investment has flew into these particular institutions, and the government is answerable to the parliament. Then why can't government can seek the answerability from these particular institutions? So operational accountability. According to this, any person who has invested in a particular firm or organization, he has the responsibility to know the functioning of these organizations. So the government as an investor in this organization, obviously, yes. Now on the other hand, so we can promote the academic accountability, but to an extent on the financial and operational front, we are supposed to expect for an accountability. And next is the professionalism. I have discussed this topic previously. Francis Fukuyama, what he said is, an organization is more professional in terms of the training of the civil servants, in terms of the levels of low levels of corruption and the norms and procedures as per the standards. If all these exist, yes, you can provide for the greater autonomy in functioning of these organizations. And the next is, if efficiency has to be high, then we shall have greater accountability too. Autonomy has to be provided when the professionalism high, when a person is more responsible. Next is efficiency efficiency is another factor to analyze autonomy versus accountability. When the efficiency is improved, one when there is competition, and the next is whenever something is measured, performance evaluation that exists, automatically efficiency improves. Third thing is stakeholder involvement and participation. And finally, the efficient markets which are performing, then only the efficiency will come up. So now if you take about in India, the IIMs, yes, the relative competition is very low for them, and participation. So among the board of the IIMs, I mean the involvement of the students, the stakeholders or alumni is very minimal, and efficient markets. With regard to the educational markets, they are totally not developed in the country. And accountability, yes, in the name of the autonomy, the accountability is being undermined in the functioning of the IIMs. There are no proper performance management or measurement targets for the IIMs. So again, if autonomy is a norm with regard to the innovation on the academic circles, then accountability has to be a norm with regard to the finances. Because the public money, wherever it is involved, there has to be an accountability on that particular matter. So from these perspectives, we can argue what can the decision we can give is, yes, the IIMs needs autonomy for academic innovations and also to take the education to the next level. But however, they shall not be the islands of autonomy. They shall be exposed to the growing competition in the world. And in this process, we shall make their boards more professional, target oriented. If you take the United States of America universities, especially the California University, the Texas universities, the board consists of regents. So in this, the students will also be made involved to provide for the standards of the education. So similar reforms can be expected in India too. Next is the Greece issue. Now, yes, the austerity measures were initiated in the Greece, and against these austerity measures, the loan was being provided to the Greece from the European banks and the IMF. Now, then there came a Labour government over there. So the Labour government, that is leftist, what they suggested is the shrinking of the economy is the reason for the growth of unemployment and the woes of the people. So the Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, so what he said is he is going to make the steps, renegotiate with the European Union and take the steps towards expanding the size of the economy. Now, the Greece, it did not take forward the austerity measures. Finally, it was at the brink of the collapse. And the creditors, they are not interested to expend the time. And in the process, Prime Minister has called for a referendum. So in this referendum, let us see. Obviously, by the time the Greece will be on default, because yesterday was the last date for the repayments. So then, obviously, the referendum will be about Greece continuing in the European Commission or not, Eurozone or not. If it is the case, once the Greece exists, then automatically the lineup follows, and it is going to create a ripple effect across the world. So the euro will lose its sheen as an alternative currency. Automatically it is going to worst affect the various developing economies too, and which is going to create impact on India too. So this article is also about the same. So but why the European countries, they are not hedging, or they are not listening to the argument of the Greece? Now once a chance is been given to the Greece, once the rules and norms are relaxed, and there are many other countries on the line to default in the same way, so which is going to create the default a cascading effect too. So among the lesser evils, it is to stand tough to the Greece rather than bailing out the Greece again and again. So with regard to the core sector, yes, in this 4.4% of growth has been there in May, with highest being the refining followed by the coal. So now, previously the prelims question is, what are the core industries and what are the core sectors, and their particular composition at the index of industrial production, that is 37.9%. These were the questions previously. Just try to go through them. So these are the things we need to understand with regard to July 1st article. Thank you very much.